Hey, everybody. So, I'm wildly late, but here. And my apologies. I've been nursing a very, very sore back and feet and neck. I got myself some new insoles last week because my other ones were just worn out. And those of you who have followed me for a while, welcome if you're new, but those of you who have followed me for a while know that I've been in a car accident, I've been in a slip and fall, and I've injured the same areas multiple times. And if I don't have good insoles, my body really feels it. And I had replaced my old ones with some new ones, and I think they just wreaked havoc on me physically. And I've been nursing them all day. I spent about an hour and a half in my massage chair and took a very unexpected long nap and woke up like shit, And with my job, I went back to see how the clothes went and was reviewing cameras and saw some things that I cannot unsee, and I'm going to have to go to my higher ups about, which I'm not thrilled about, but I can't not say anything because otherwise then I'm compliant. So we're going to get into that and the different energies that came through with this moon. This is the cosmic currency, the energy, the currency of the cosmos for the new moon in Scorpio. This is what we're going to be going over. What a day. Hopefully y'all had a nice Halloween wherever you are. Mine was crazy. It was crazy. It really was. I was really glad that I had off from work today. After the night I had before. But there's a few things that I want to talk about. And I know I could see how it played out in my personal life. And hopefully, getting into this message, you can see how it plays out in your life. Okay. The first thing I want to talk about is the grand water trine that we have between Mercury, Neptune, and Mars, and how it's forming two different kites with Uranus and Pluto. Now, the reason why I was a little later than 2 o'clock in the morning going live, I had originally intended on 2 a.m. once I got myself situated, but I was guided to pull some cards from a deck of messages, just divine messages that I made. There's fronts and backs to both sides of the cards, and there's a lot of them. And I was asking Spirit to guide in these major players and wrote down everything that was coming out for them. So, the water trine. Mars at 29 degrees Cancer. Now, Mars is in its fall in Cancer. It's not its happiest place, but 29 degrees on the verge of Leo. The cards that got pulled were feeling reborn, a return to childhood innocence. The forecast is lots of beautiful sunshine. And I feel with the anaretic degree of Cancer and Mars being there, it's finally feeling like it's out of the roller coaster waves of emotion from feeling really intensely to feeling numb, to being inspired with your feelings, to feeling destructive with your feelings, right? Mars in Cancer goes on quite a roller coaster. In trine to Mercury in Scorpio, the cards that got pulled were feeling blindsided, like everything is falling apart, eye-opening. If the universe is removing things, places, or people, it's divine. Let your ego be humbled, epiphany energy, which I think is interesting because it is in opposition to Uranus. And Uranus in Taurus was all about knowing the truth in your heart, that it's persistently nudging you, right? Because, you know, Taurus rules love to an extent because it's connected so closely with Venus, right? It's ruling planet. It's knowing the truth in your heart. Uranus being a planet of revelation, right? And epiphany and divine downloads, right? It's this Aquarian planet. It's in opposition to Mercury calling for the truth, even if it's difficult to speak, because it needs to be said. So the different things going on with Uranus and Mercury. Things in the reality really are going to transform for the better in the long run. For some people who are in that vibration of truth, who are exposing certain sabotaging money moves, including theft, including money secrets, right? Secrets around certain items or finances in general, possessions. Like there are certain things that the truth needs to come out about it in order to own the reality that poverty in life is a self-inflicted choice. Even if we grew up with nothing, to accept certain behaviors that result in continued poverty, that is a choice that we make as adults. You know, you can be an exemplary shining star employee, but if you decide that you are going to steal something, that choice could cost you your job. It's a self-inflicted poverty. It's not worth it, right? To steal $5, what you would have paid $5 for, is not worth your job. This is about transforming the way we think about money and the self-sabotaging behaviors that we partake in that lead to financial ruin. You know, Uranus and Taurus always ends up dealing with some kind of financial decline or financial hardships, radical financial shakes, you know, reality shakes. It's not great. So having it in opposition to Mercury, Mercury being tied to merchants and trade, not just the mind, but if you think about the etymology of the words, right? Mercury and merchant, it's very much tied to money. Mercury was also the god that was worshipped by thieves. And so having it in Scorpio, where it's self-sabotaging, we have to remember that even if as, you know, quote unquote, using the metaphor of thieves, right, who worshiped Mercury, just because you worship Mercury and you're a thief doesn't mean there's no consequence for your actions. This plays a big role with the trine to Neptune, right? Neptune Neptune, the cards that were pulled, it's being emotionally reserved doesn't make you weak. It actually means you are mature in the face of others' emotional weakness. It's a feeling of disappointed, right? Feeling like you'll never get back what you lost. Feeling emotionally baited, or like there's no, or like there's, like someone wants more than you can give. You got to think there's no sense in crying over spilled milk when there's more in the fridge. It's this kind of dramatics that some people put on, this kind of diluted thinking. When we allow our emotions to get the best of us, especially when others are not exuding emotional control and you have to. You know, when others are freaking out or feeling entitled or feeling some kind of way or feeling like they've been shafted or feeling like they're deserving of, and it's kind of delulu because they're not seeing the face value of themselves, right? When we talk about Neptune, it's in the same sign as Saturn. And even though they are 15 degrees apart, they're still, it's almost like two people in the same room. Like you could be on one side of the room and I could be on this side of the room, but we could still have a conversation from opposite sides of the room. Like we're in the same room together. It's kind of like what Pisces is doing with Saturn and Neptune. This feeling of disappointment, right? This feeling of being baited by other people to act in ways that are unbecoming, right? If we get back into that Mercury energy, because thieving energy is unbecoming of the self. It's not flattering. It doesn't look good on anybody, right? Saturn, the cards that I pulled for Saturn, it offers clarity. The truth sets us free. You are no longer who you were, but not quite who you are yet to become. Figuring yourself out, mental breakthroughs, divine alchemy, feeling in between how you used to feel and how you are meant to feel. When we deal with these disappointments, when we deal with these delusions of the self, when we deal with emotional storms, feeling slighted, taking part in self-betraying choices, right? Where we create poverty from a fear state that we are not privy to consciously. Like we're making the conscious choice, but we're not consciously aware of the why behind the choice. We're not diving deeper, right? Pisces asks people to dive deeper. You've never stolen anything before. So why would it be okay that you stole something now? What excuse did you make to validate why it was okay to do that, right? There's different things coming up with this energy. In regards to the kites, right, within these water trines, there's the kite to Pluto and the kite to Uranus. And Uranus we already kind of touched on, but Pluto in opposition to Mars, right? An exact opposition to Mars. Now, Mars was feeling reborn, right? Returning to childhood innocence, the forecast being lots of sunshine, right? Not wanting to wait to get the fuck out of Cancer and into Leo, where it just feels a whole lot better. It doesn't like being in Cancer at all. At this anoretic degree of Cancer, 29 degrees, it can't fucking wait to get out of there, right? The forecast is sunshine. It's ready to move into Leo, right? Leo rules the sun. It's ready to go in there. Pluto is coming in with this vibration of just because you view someone as a villain or a hero doesn't mean they are. And just because you view yourself as one or the other doesn't mean you are. karma is vibrational. We're talking about karma and deep-rooted vibrations with Capricorn, Saturn's natural ruler, and Pluto. It's also a very dependable energy. It's about creating prosperity and financial stability, that you are the solid rock in your life. Feeling magical, right? Pluto is ruled by Scorpio. It's a sign of magic. Feeling magical, like you can create anything. It's aligning with a vibration. Pluto in this position at the 29th degree, it's a choice, especially going into Aquarius, right? Which literally rules the energy waves, right? The symbol for Aquarius. It's aligning with a vibration. High or low depends on what you want to create. Moving forward, you have to have faith in the divine balancing via karma. Feeling powerful and determined, right? Having this mantra of I am a manifesting machine, right? I'm the dictator of my life. I'm the CEO of my life. I'm the creator of my life. I decide what works for me and what doesn't work for me. If I want sunshine, I'm going to go get sunshine. If I'm over the roller coasters of feeling, wild emotions and then numb and then all kinds of inspired action and then feeling like I'm drowning, like if you're over the roller coaster, Pluto and Mars in opposition are really highlighting the war within the self, the emotional war, and the transformation that we can create through our own actions. You can create whatever you want. If you don't want to be inside a space of emotional warfare, whether it's internal emotional war or you're dealing with emotional warfare from other people, right? People who put on guilt trips, people who make you think that you're crazy or weak, people who whatever. Play with your emotional strings. You decide what it is that works for you. If you don't like it, change it. Well, I don't know how to change it. Start making choices, even if they're crazy. Crazy is just a word that people use to describe things they do not understand. You don't understand. You can call something crazy. You just don't understand. The thought can be crazy. That's just because you don't understand it. The emotions of someone else can be crazy. You'd be like, oh my God, they're crazy. It's because you don't understand them. In order to make this work, in order to get the kite to fly, to get that download, every time I think about kite imagery, I'm reminded of back in the day when, was it Benjamin Franklin, tied the key, right, to the kite to get that electricity to come in and hit the key. Harnessing electricity. Key is Chiron. Hi, Mary. Chiron is the key. Electricity is Uranus. Downloads. You can find yourself in such a great place when you let the truth in your heart speak. You know when something is right and when something is wrong. You know when something feels good and when something stops feeling good or never felt good to begin with. You have that niggling feeling in your heart space, right? That intuitive nudge. And speaking on that truth is sometimes difficult, but just because it's difficult doesn't mean that it's not meant to be said. You could be with a partner of 20 years and something they do and have done for 15 years, for 17 years, for all 20 years could be really bothering you. Something they said for the first time or did for the first time yesterday after 20 years, it bothered you. If you write it off or negate it or don't speak on it, you're going to create more problems. The truth sets you free, right? The truth sets you free. when we're talking about this Saturn and Pisces energy, right? Because you got to think about it. Pluto's in Capricorn. It's transforming that energy. Well, Capricorn rules Saturn, and Saturn's in Pisces. And it's talking about the truth. It's talking about who you were and who you are becoming. How you used to feel versus how you are meant to feel, and being in between. Knowing that you used to feel some kind of way and you don't necessarily feel that way anymore, but don't necessarily know how you are meant to feel after yet. This moon, right? This new moon in Scorpio is truly about taking leaps of faith and knowing that there is a method to the madness. Feeling fearless and knowing and trusting that the universe has your back. That you can make outrageous changes to your own behavior. Because as we get into the different things like the mystic rectangle, right? We've got this mystic rectangle between Lilith and Jupiter and Chiron and Venus, right? We've got this rectangle here. They're called mystic rectangles. I call them divine doorways. Divine doors are created with two oppositions and the sextile and trine work that they create around those oppositions. Okay? When we talk about this divine door, the oppositions are integrations. That's all oppositions are. Integrating those energies and allowing them to work together. Jupiter in Gemini, it's Sag's ruler. Gemini is its opposite sign. It's mentally exhausted in Gemini. The focus can be, it could be someone who is extremely pessimistic, right? People who have this placement can be extremely pessimistic. They can focus on ruin. They can create their own downfall. Or make reasons why they're self-destructing, placing their worth in the opinions of others. In opposition to Venus in Sag. Venus in Sag carries this feeling of plenty, right? Sag is very gregarious, very generous sign. It's this feeling of plenty, like you have so much to give and can't run out. Sometimes we are called to give, and it's thanking spirit that we were able to, not necessarily wanting anything in return, just being grateful that someone needed something that we were capable of giving and that we were able to provide it for them. Sometimes we are called to receive. And we need to be thankful to spirit for considering us, right? Sometimes we're called to receive. We're meant to say thank you, right? Venus holds this vibration of beauty and gratitude. It's about equal energy exchange, right? So Jupiter and Venus being in opposition. Jupiter, who is extremely pessimistic and potentially creating reasons or excuses to self-destruct, right? Really highly dependent on the opinions of other people. Is getting this vibration from Venus where, you know, it's this feeling of plenty, feeling like you can't run out. Sometimes we're called to give, sometimes we're called to receive, and it's all fair and just in the balance of the universe, right? When it comes to relationship dynamics between Venus and Gemini, really, because if you ever follow tarot, Gemini rules the Lover's card. It's the mirror of masculine and feminine energy. And it's tied, right, air energy to Libra and Aquarius, which is vibration and partnerships and how the mirror works with those things and the element that it rules. When we're talking about Venus, not just as the ruler of Taurus, but the ruler of Libra, right? Being in sextile to Lilith in Libra. Sag, who sees potential. Sag, who sees potential. With Lilith, it's feeling like there's a long way to go, but that it's worth it to get there, right? It's worth the effort. Feeling beautiful goddess energy, taking the first step towards a destination that you can actually visualize, right? This manifest destination that you can visualize in your head and trust that you will get there, even if there's a long way to go. Knowing that your love is valued and honored. It's creation energy. Okay. That Lilith energy is sextiling and trining between Venus and Jupiter. We don't always know how things are going to work out. And it's okay. Sometimes we really are genuinely called to give and not get anything in return from that specific person that we gave to, or that specific situation that we gave to, because it's meant to come in from somewhere else. We were called to give, and we can't get upset because we were guided to give in that moment to someone who could not reciprocate, right? Chiron and Aries, who is tied into this rectangle, right, in opposition to Lilith. Lilith feeling like there's a long way to go, but it's worth it to get there, right? Feeling that beautiful goddess energy, that feminine energy of receptivity. Chiron feels out of place and not yourself because you're stuck in a comfort zone, right? Chiron and Aries is learning what emotionally balanced and healthy dynamics look and feel like. Do you stay stunted, or do you choose to grow? Do you stay, or do you go? Sacred soulmates love you and you love them. It is mutually emotionally beneficial. If you are dealing with partnerships where you have abandoned yourself, right, which is the shadow of Lilith, it's self-abandonment. If you are dealing with partners where it is a one-way pour, it's non-reciprocal, where you're putting all this love in, but you're not getting any love back. It is a long way to go. And it might not be in your best interest to stay, especially if you are emotionally exhausted, especially if you're having a hard time seeing the bright side, right? If you're feeling exceptionally pessimistic or taking on self-sabotaging behaviors, or you're self-destructing. You got to remember, you have plenty to give. It is not the end of the world if you leave this person and don't get anything back, that you have to cut your losses. This is the doorway, right? If you can accept what is meant to be, and what is not meant to be will never be, because it's not meant to be. Venus in square to Saturn, if you can accept the divine order of certain dynamics, if you can accept that falling in love with potential is a detriment. Falling in love with potential is a detriment. Especially if the person whose potential you see, especially if they are not willing to see it, and they are in such a state that they have a long way to go. Everybody has potential. Sag sees it. That's its forte. Sag can always see the potential in people or situations. Gemini is face value reality, though. Jupiter's there. It's face value reality. It's the face value of the mirror, right? When we talk about these oppositions, Jupiter opposing Venus, like, you got to think, it's kind of like, We're talking about partnerships, but I'm going to take it to a different space. Having long-term money goals and having that potential reached, having that vision, that long-term money goal reached because you looked in the mirror. Because you looked in the mirror. You looked in the reality at who was around you and decided what was or was not good to define yourself with. Like, you are who you befriend. You and your partner have common wounds or you wouldn't be together. Are the wounds getting in the way of financial stability? If your partner is unwilling to change, but you are willing to change, unfortunately, that means you have to change your partner or leave your partner, become your own partner, right? Long-term money goals and potential can be reached when you look in the mirror versus the short-sighted visions of worth, bad luck when feeling deserving of more than your face value. It's bad luck. Jupiter in Gemini, opposite of Sag, its natal planet, can feel like bad luck. Especially if you have this idea that you are worth more than your actual value. Kind of like an employee who thinks that, they deserve a free soda. Why do you deserve a free soda? Why? Well, my worth is this. Okay, but your boss's worth is that. And they don't deserve to get stolen from. You're literally stealing their money. Think about it, right? This delusional idea of what you're worth, that you could take it from someone else. This is what is going on with the Venus-Jupiter opposition, okay? Mercury and Uranus we touched on, but it's transforming thinking through owning self-poverty, right? Theft, money secrets, and sabotaging around secreted items or secreted finances. Pluto and Mars, who is also tied into that, right? Because it's a part of the grand trine. You have to understand too with Mars in Cancer and Pluto in Capricorn. Capricorn is the boss. Okay, Capricorn is the CEO of the zodiac. It rules the 10th house. It's the boss. Careers can end over feelings. Careers can end over feelings. The light side of it is leadership through controlled emotions. Rules are rules. Like, let's just hypothetically say I caught somebody on camera stealing. Do I have compassion for the person who stole and not say anything? Or do I hold compassion for my boss who didn't deserve to get stolen from? I have to have emotional control. I cannot feel bad for the person who chose to steal, especially when the boss was giving them a discount, an insane discount. It would have cost them $5 for everything that they stole, because it was more than one thing. It was 3 things. Those 3 things with their discount would have cost them $5 after tax. Think about it. The truth sets you free is a part of this plethora of planetary placements. Careers could end over feelings. Rules are rules. Pluto in Capricorn, rules are rules. Breaking the rules can be damning. It can be damning. But I promise you that person will think twice before they ever steal again, because that $5 was not worth their job. It will forever transform them and the way they do things. When they take actions on their emotions, and let their emotions get the best of them. It is a life lesson, a very unfortunate one. But it is what it is. It is what it is. People have to learn and understand that you increase in long-term worth when you free the energy of your own inner union. When you allow your mind and your heart to work together, right? That you can create long-term value. When your heart says that's not a good idea, something in here says you shouldn't be doing that, and the mind says, you know what, you're right, I shouldn't do that, and doesn't. Or when the heart says this feels right to make this choice, and the mind's like, yeah, but that's fucking crazy, and the heart's like, yeah, but it feels right to choose it. And the mind says, fine, I'm choosing it then, even if it's crazy, because it feels right. And the mind and the heart agree. If it feels wrong, don't do it. If it feels right, fucking do it. Don't make excuses not to do it. If it feels right, you feel guided to, you can increase your long-term worth when you free your inner union energy, when your mind and your heart work together. Listening to yourself and seeing a vision of you that you love. A version, right, of yourself that you love. This is Venus trine Chiron. And you can listen to yourself and see a version of you that you love beyond your wounds and fears of abandonment, fears of not being good enough, fears of being discarded. When you feel like you're not good enough, when you feel like you're unworthy, when you feel like you're not deserving, you will sabotage the shit out of yourself. Like the employee who steals doesn't feel like they're good enough at their job on some deep level, right? Deep wound, Chiron. And then at some point they're going to get fired anyway. And then they do dumb shit. Chiron sextile Jupiter is deeply healing mirrors. People are in your reality for a reason and they leave for a reason. Think about it. I started this live talking about I witnessed something and I can't unsee it. If I say nothing, I'm compliant. I'm compliant with what I saw. But I am not a thief. I am not a thief. And I am not compliant. And that energy is going to exit my mirror. It's going to exit my mirror. People who are meant to be in your mirror are meant to be in your mirror. And people who are leaving your mirror are leaving it for a reason. People could say, oh, I have a narcissist in my life and blah, blah, blah. Okay. And you're arrogant enough to think you can heal them. Ooh, did I just strike a chord? I had a crazy narcissist in my reality for like 4 years. And I was arrogant enough to think that my love would heal them. Who's the narcissist in love with themselves? He was in my mirror for a reason. The crazy narcissist. The manipulative person. The gaslighting person. The psychologically and emotionally abusive person. Because I was psychologically and emotionally fucking myself in my own arrogance. Think about it. I could sit here and admit it, because I've healed through it. I've recognized that mirror. Everybody in the mirror is going to leave as you heal. I'm literally going through such an intense healing process myself that I am transferring to a new store. Like, I'm going to be the general manager opening a brand new store with all new staff and all new people. Everybody in the old mirror is bye. Everybody in the old mirror is disappearing. And the ones that I'm keeping are deeply healing mirrors. Deeply healing mirrors. The two that I'm going to remain connected to, I have a lot of respect for. My HR and my boss. A lot of respect. They're staying in my mirror. And will continue to be a part of my mirror. And I look forward to that. Everybody else is new. Everybody else is fluid. Everybody else crosses me for a reason and will exit for a reason. Jupiter trine Lilith is reflection on liberation and the reflection of liberation in your outer experience with others. It's rebelliously balanced, yielding a lucky mirror. Beneficial partners. Jupiter trine Lilith and Gemini and Libra. It reflects your liberation. Your liberation being in that beautiful goddess energy, that free energy, right? That feeling like it might be a long way to go, but it's worth it to get there. And letting go of the parts of the mirror that were mentally exhausting, that have you doing mental somersaults and flips trying to figure it out. It's wild how much gets exposed when the truth just is what it is. And how much things fall into place when the truth just is let to be. Like I told you, I had a hell night last night at work. It was a hell night. All 3 AGMs ran lunch. All 3. We had the app online ordering down. We had credit cards down. It was cash only in the store, which was awful. Awful for sales, but created a lot of time to get things done. And both AGMs that were on during the slowest part of that hour didn't do a damn thing. I was not prepared or set up for success going into the night shift. And I was pissed. I was pissed. And so I called my other AGM, who was only there for volume for the lunch rush. She wasn't there during the slower hours. And filled her in on everything. I said, listen, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm dealing with. Like, I could stay extra late. I'm not going to get home until 1 or 2 in the morning. I'm going to stay extra late. Or you can come in early and do it in the morning. But either way, it's going to take extra time to catch up for tomorrow. We had catering that needed to get set up. We had end of month inventory that needed to get done. Nothing ended up getting done because once onlines came back on, we were swamped. It was like everybody was craving our place all day. And then all of a sudden online went up and everybody, we got flooded all the way up until we closed. So things did not get done. And I said, I can stay extra late or you can come in early. And she said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Go home. I'll come in early and do it in the morning. I laid out everything that needed to get laid out. that I could lay out. Everything was clean, wrapped, put away, bare minimum, but she said she would get everything else. And I even left her a reminders list, because just because we said it over the phone doesn't mean she would remember everything in the morning. So I even wrote a reminders list and stuck it on the end of month inventory forms for her to do in the morning. And I woke up to a text in our group chat with me, her, my HR, and two of my bosses. And she put, clothes was not up to par. This wasn't that. This wasn't that. And end of month inventory is going to be late. And I was just like, I messaged her personally. I said, why would you put that in the group text with all of them? Like, I spoke to you last night. You knew clothes was not going to be anything ahead of schedule. That's why I told you to come in early. Why didn't you come in early? You actually clocked in late. Why was it not ready? She threw me under the bus and was blaming clothes the entire shift for her poor open. But when I messaged her and said, why did you say that? She goes, I'm sorry. It was fine. Like, your clothes was fine. I didn't mean it. I was just, rushing everything this morning and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, what the fuck? I told you to come in early. She goes, well, I came in at 7 like I was scheduled. I said, but that's why I called you last night. Because if I knew you were going to throw me under the bus this morning, I would have stayed late and just got it done. You literally told me not to worry about it, that you would come in early and I can go home. Because I commute 40 minutes to work. So not only would I have gotten out of there at 1 o'clock in the morning, I would have had to drive home after. We close at 9. She's like, no, just go home. So I sent my HR screenshots. So this is the conversation. I said, she's blaming me to everybody else. I said, but she's apologizing to me in private, saying that my clothes was fine, that she was just rushing everything this morning. The truth, right? My HR was like, don't worry about it. He goes, I'm not a big fan of that two-faced stuff. And she's going after, my position when I move on to my new store. And this is the kind of behavior that she's showcasing. I said, I told her, I said, I didn't do anything wrong and I didn't deserve what you did. Venus square Saturn. Pluto opposed Mars. There's a lot of shit going on. Mercury opposed Uranus. Choices create poverty. Poverty is not something that is created out of thin air. Choices create that. Life, people, mirrors. I'm so excited for the day I'm out of that mirror. I am excited. I already know it's coming. And that's the best part. I'm out of that store in a couple weeks. I think I have 2 weeks left or 3 weeks left. And I'll just be focusing on the new store. But this is the kind of shit. The new moon in Scorpio is asking you to see a method to the madness. Just because you give doesn't mean it's lost. This is the same person that I literally just bought her son dinner and bought her a microwave because she didn't have one. I was like, what? Because she said it in passing in a conversation. I was like, yeah, you just heat it up in the microwave. And she goes, no, I don't have one. I said, what? I said, take my card, go to Walmart, get yourself a microwave. She was like, are you serious? I said, yes. To my AGM, the same one that threw me under the bus. Just last week, I gave her my bank card and told her to go to the store and buy herself a microwave for her and her kids. We give because we are guided to give. I don't regret giving. I'm glad I see who she is. I was called to give. I'm grateful that I was able to give it. But it's eye-opening, right? We're talking about feeling blindsided by people, Mercury and Scorpio. feeling blindsided, like everything falls apart. Yeah, but things are falling apart for good reason. People are leaving your life for good reason. Whoever or whatever she was to me in this life, another life, mirror's done. How this plays out for you guys in your own lives, depending on your own charts. Like, I'm a Sagittarius. I got a fuck ton of Scorpio in my chart, including Venus and Pluto and South Node and Juno and Fortune and White Moon. And I've got a whole lot of Scorpio in there. And my Jupiter is in Aqua. I'm a Cancer moon and rising. How it affects your chart? Really, I'm a 29-degree Cancer moon. Mars is on my moon. You want to talk about intuition. And I got to listen to it. I got to listen to it. Like, I have to take certain actions from a place of emotional maturity. That was what Neptune and Pisces was talking about at 27 degrees Pisces. Being emotionally reserved doesn't make you weak. It actually means you are mature in the face of others' emotional weaknesses. Like, yeah, you can feel disappointed in people, and I am. It's unfortunate I'm disappointed because she has a lot of potential. But she's in her own sabotaging energy, and there's nothing I can do to stop her from acting that way. Like, she apologized to me in private. She never apologized in the group chat. She never owned the fact that she was a little late and didn't get there early, or that I told her to get there early, or that I did everything that I was meant to do. I just didn't do the extras, but I did everything that I was meant to do. She didn't say any of that. She didn't right the wrong. She said, I love you. And I didn't respond to it. I'm glad the universe is throwing love at me in my mirror. The outer experience was reflecting love in my mirror. But I couldn't say that back. I didn't mean it. I wouldn't have meant it. How can I love somebody who just did that to me and didn't right the wrong? Can't. I can forgive a lot of stuff. And tell me if you're like this, right? I can forgive a lot of stuff if people can acknowledge what the mistake was and admit the mistake. I can forgive a lot of lies once the truth is admitted and the apology is given. I can take walls down. Doesn't mean there's not still healthy boundaries, but the walls are down. There's not like this huge guard up because you're a fucking liar or whatever, or a thief. But people who can't own their mistakes, people who can't admit their wrongs, people who double down on lies and triple down on lies and don't come clean with the truth. I'm sorry, I got a huge wall between you and I. Huge wall. We are not on the same side. We are not on the same side. There is no forward movement. There is no you and me. None. I will be the first one to admit my mistakes. The first person. Every time without fail. And I will apologize. If someone tells me, no, you are wrong and it's for this reason, and they are not wrong, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. But you're right. My perception was wrong, or my actions that I took were wrong. Thank you for pointing it out to me. Because I don't like making mistakes. I don't like repeating them either. I will admit my mistakes every time. If I legit fucked up, I will say I fucked up and I'm sorry. But people who can't do that, you and I are not the same. We are not the same. I don't lie. If you're a liar, we are not the same. We are not the same. Integrity is my favorite word. It's my favorite word. I wish more people had it. I wish more people were brutally honest. I wish more people were just real, you know? This new moon is a clear slate for a lot of people. What they manifest from that slate depends on their energy and their choices. Everybody gets a new beginning. Everybody. What comes of it is determined by your vibration. And it's something to keep in mind. I would err against delusional deservingness. As a final note and reminder, I would err against delusional deservingness. Do not think you deserve enough to take from someone else. Do not think that you deserve certain positions in life, certain status in life, when your behavior and choices do not warrant it. Delusional deservingness will get you in trouble. With that said, I hope that people really see the value of what is in front of them, including in their own mirror. Spiritual order is a real thing. Karma is a real thing. Don't fall in love with your own potential value or someone's potential value and neglect to see the actual value. And with that, we're going to wrap this up because we got secret code names to do. I hope that this has been insightful for all of you. And I'll see you in just a little bit. Bye, everyone.